Would you like a predictable revenue breakthrough and more meaningful profits sooner versus later? If you're answering yes, 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 I have great news, because that is exactly what we're here to talk about. My name is Nancy Juetten. I'm the host of the Learn More, Earn More show. I'm the leader of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group. And I'm the creator of the podcast Visibility Live Lab. And most importantly, I'm the curator of amazing high octane guests that I can bring to you that can help you improve your game, bring more money to the bottom line, and have more fun doing it. You are in for a special treat today. It is profit coach Susie Carter. And wait till you hear her story before she speaks her first word. Susie Carter started out as a low-paid hairdresser trying to support her two little girls, but working for someone else became a challenge, to say the least. So she decided to do whatever it took to create her own business. After much blood, sweat, and tears mixed with cheap mascara, she went on to create not one, but two $10 million companies. Her core genius is the ability to simplify complicated issues by creating simple, proven systems that are guaranteed to create dramatic growth for any company. She has helped over 100,000 entrepreneurs increase their revenues by more than 3,000% and worked with top business moguls, including John Assaraf, Lisa Nichols, Steve Harvey, Doug Carter, and Paul Mitchell. She's the author of Predictable Success Method. Oh no, that's her method, and her book is called Power Your Profit Book. You got to have it, people. And on with the show, Susie Carter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share. I'm excited to talk to your people. Right, they're my people. We all want to figure this thing out called business and money and profitability.
And isn't it true that you work very closely with coaches, authors, and speakers so that they can grow their revenue streams very quickly, even if they don't have a clear financial plan, a marketing plan, or lack of leads, so they can get on their way?
Yes, because sometimes, you need the roadmap. It's hard to go, what do I work on first? Right? What comes first? And I think people create a product and then they try to market it, but there's no plan behind it. They don't know how many leads they need to get. They don't know the difference between a qualified lead and a fan. They don't know how to convert them. There's so many little things that we need to manage. It doesn't have to be hard, Nancy. It just has to be strategic. I always say that business is like this combination lock. Remember these from school? One little tick off and this sucker wouldn't open. It felt like an hour. You would stand there trying to go, okay, what is it again? Let me start over. Let me start over. Let me start over. Well, that's business, right? One little tick off and you can't open up the profit. One little tick off and you can't get the sales. One little tick off and you can't get the right leads into your business. And so I created this because it was hard for me and I wanted something simple that I could implement and get immediate results. Right? I promise you, if you just do what I say, I always tell my coaching clients that, just do what I say. I promise you, you will get the result. So that's why we can say people have had 3,000%. People have had more, right? But if you just do it and follow the roadmap, you get to, right? The Wizard of Oz, right?
Right. Well,
The castle of possibility.
to be a struggling hairdresser who goes on to sell companies in the millions of dollars to help other people create businesses in the millions of dollars, what is the secret?
Well, the secret is there has to be strategy, right? There has to be, you've got to create your plan. And a lot of us have our plan in our head, but that doesn't translate to you. That doesn't translate to your marketing team. That doesn't translate to your team that you hire to work with you. So we've got to get it all out of your head. And so early on, I had to figure out the money side, right? I was a hairdresser and I found myself divorced with two little kids, right? No alimony, no child support. Girl, my picker was off. I'm just going to say that out loud.
Wow.
And so I had to figure out how to provide for my children. So I would go to the bookstore at night. I would, if I needed a marketing strategy, a referral program, went to the bookstore and studied. If I needed to figure out the finance part and how do you charge and, how do you create profit and what should my expenses be, I went to the bookstore, right? There wasn't like online, I'm seasoned, Nancy. So there wasn't like courses like this or podcasts or YouTube channels. There wasn't any of that. It was the bookstore. That was the holy grail. If you were lucky to find someone, I would have never found Nancy early in the day, right? We're on two separate sides of the country to go, how do I find the people that are going to help me build my business? We are so blessed right now that of a click of a button, I can find you, a click of a button, you can find me, and you can find the solutions that you need. And so I just started
The
creating
other
these.
thing that I want to just weave in there, we can
Yeah.
also be introduced by people who think we are both independently awesome. And that is exactly how we met.
Yes, exactly. That old fashioned networking, right? People are like, we can't do anything because we're online. I have so many great conversations. I've done more business online than offline because it's been able to touch people all over the world, which is amazing. So early in the day, I had to figure out how to do it. And I had to create a roadmap so that I'm a creative. So I need to create systems because I'm a creative. I can get distracted by the sparkle of the squirrel, the next shiny thing, and to go, wait, we need consistency. We need consistency. And that business really taught me consistency and scheduling because you can't run a business without scheduling in that business, right? You are there in their schedule. Now I was trading time for dollar, but that was back in the day, and that's just what you did. And then I opened my first salon and spa and built that to $1 million salon and spa. And I didn't know that was not the norm, right? Only 1.7% of small businesses hit that number. I didn't know that. I was just having goals and hitting my goals and working with my team and helping them hit their goals. We were the top 1% in the nation, top 10% in the world, and got that award 5 years in a row because of the results that we produced inside of that salon or spa. So once you have the roadmap, you just follow the plan. And I know you've heard experts say that over and over and over again. There must be something to it if experts keep saying it.
So this roadmap, is that the one thing every business owner must do to build a company, is build the roadmap first?
Got to build the roadmap first. Now, when I start working with clients, I build the financial roadmap first because you got to see possibility, right? We make making $1 million too hard, right? And what happens is, Nancy, is we get stuck in the oh, I'm going to make $1 million. That's a big elephant. But if I said, Nancy, sell 10 of your things each month, and that will get you to $1 million, that's much easier than going sell 120 things. Like, oh, I don't know if I can sell 120 things. Okay, well, let's just sell 10. Let's sell 10. Let's sell 10. Let's sell 10. So I find people can either manage the dollars or they can manage the units. And so by breaking it down by the units, it gives us those bite-sized chunks to go, oh, I can't, if I had $1 for every time somebody told me, oh, it's not that hard to make $1 million. I'm like, I know.
Doesn't that sort of predispose that there are actually people listening to you in the first place and paying attention to what you have to say and offer?
When you say predisposed, what do you mean by that?
Well, that there's an audience built for the program, or that people are subscribing to your list or watching your show or participating in your expertise in some way.
Yeah, people are, I know I am. I'm always looking for the what's next, right? I'm always looking at how do I take it from 1 million to 5, 5 million to 10, right? Looking at how can I be more profitable, profits planned. So I think we're all looking for the it in your particular business. It might be I'm just starting and what's the it I need. I'm at every level's different. I thought when I got to 1 million, Nancy, it would be easier. It's not. It's like raising kids. You think, oh, once they get to 1, it'll be easier. Nope, just different. Once they get to 2, it'll be easier. Nope, just different. Once they get to 5, it'll be easier. Nope, it's just different. Same thing with money. You get to 100 grand. Okay, no, it's just different. 200 grand. Oh, there's a new set of challenges. 300, 400, 500,000 to 1 million. So each level we get to, there's a different set of circumstances that we need to manage to get to that next level. And so by using the right tools in a systematic process and not hard systems, right? I think when I say that word, people start thinking computers and you got to be some kind of analyst. No, no, girl, it's not that hard, right? My original systems were just checklists. Just do these things, Nancy, and you will get this result, right? And realize that most people don't take the time to do that.
Well, and some people don't even know what the steps should be. I actually
Right.
had this situation over the weekend where I thought, what are the X number of steps you follow in sequence to accomplish this particular outcome. And I just made this creative brain stop and say, boom, 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 boom. If you follow the yellow brick road, as you said in the green room, you can get to Oz. So just for fun, if you are someone, there are people in my community that are emerging. They're not at growth stage. They're not at 7 figures yet. So they're emerging. They're just creating this thing that they're wanting to do. Could you offer 1 or 2 ideas along this roadmap to Oz that would give them some inspiration about how they could make it really fly very quickly?
Yes. So first, you've got to write the plan, like your business plan. You've got to get it out of your head, right? Because the minute you sit down and you talk to a marketing person, they have to see the whole plan, right? We just go, oh, I want to sell this course. Well, after you sell this course, then what? And then what? And then what? Like, what do you see inside that creative mind? Now, there's software that can help you do that, right? We use a couple of them. There's Live Plan, which is a great one. And it asks the questions and then it spits out the answers, right? And it gives you samples. So if I don't know how to write a vision, again, it doesn't have to be hard. Just get it out of your head that first round, right? Because as you say, who is that client? Who's that ideal client? An ideal for me means I got to love what they're up to, right? It's not just about money. I got to believe in what they're doing. I got to believe in the mission vision of where my consumer is going. And they have to have the financial means to pay you. Most of us are marketing to fans, I mean, people who just love and adore you, which is great. You have to have fans for your social media. It's part of the game, but fans don't pay your bills. And so when you get really clear what's the difference between a fan and a qualified lead, it's like, right?
So why don't you talk about that? Let's talk about that.
A fan is someone on social media that just gives you thumbs up, the hearts, they've been following for years. They like to watch. People are voyeurs, right? They want to watch and what you do. My team always tells me, Nancy, you got to put more personal stuff. I need to see you in the garden. I need to see you. But when I'm in the garden, or because we're renovating this whole house, I'm not thinking about, oh, let me take a picture. But that's what the fan wants to see. The consumer, that's okay, but they want to see, what are the results? How can I, what am I looking for? They're searching for you. So your social media has to have both, right? What do you do and what's the result? What do you do? What's the result? What do you do? What's the result? Right? That starts seeding them into you as the business person, you as the creator, you as the deliverer. Mm-hmm. Right. So a lot of times what I see in social media, we don't do any kind of invitation to purchase. Like, well, reach out, private message me, DM me if you're interested. I had one student do that. She was giving amazing content, but never did an invitation. And in 1 month, she started doing, hey, if that's interesting to you, DM me. Hey, if you're looking for that, DM me. She closed $30,000 that month. She goes, Susie, it's been that easy all along. I'm like, it has been that easy all along. It's those little things, like in the little tick, right? To go, what's that one little tick she did? Because she had lots of things in place that were right, but that one little tick of just asking. Now, there's people that don't, whatever. We ain't got time for those people. I only want to talk to people that are truly interested. Right, but it starts with the plan. I need you get it all out of your head, so you put it down to go in the next 1 year, 5 years. You don't have to go 20 years. That can be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. What's it going to look like next year? Confusion will keep you stopped, but also confusion is sabotage. I want to say that again. Confusion is sabotage. Right? If you sit in confusion, then you have to look at, well, what's stopping me? Is it my fear? Is it the fear of charging? Is it... Because business is this holistic success, right? It's not just hit it and go. I have to deal with my own smallness. I'm going to deal with that voice in my head that says, can I do this? Can I not? Are they going to find out? Am I a fraud? Am I, all that mind chatter that goes on. We all have it. I'm just open up to say, here's mine, right? And so you got to look at, what are all those things that are stopping me from my success?
So we've got a plan, and we've figured out that fans are great, but clients are better, and we've got a solution to a problem that's deeply felt, and we've got results that people want and are willing to pay for, right?
Yes. So I want you to dig deep in that ideal qualified client, right? Like what television shows, what periodicals, do they work out? Do they not work out? Where do they shop? And you're like, why do you want to get that detail? Because the minute you hire a marketing person, you start doing Facebook ads, they ask you all those questions. And if you're like, I don't know, we can't get really specific. Who else do they follow? Who has those like-minded clients? Who has my clients? That's important, right? When you start doing a bigger marketing campaign. But if we do all that work ahead of time. Now, listen, I wrote a business plan in a weekend, and the business plan was a $50 million business plan. So it doesn't have to be hard, right? You got to get it out of your brain. You got to get it out. You might have challenges with maybe the numbers or the finances, but that's when you seek out somebody like myself. If you don't know at all, then that's when you seek out someone like Nancy to go, let's put all this in place. There's experts that have already done it. Now, early on, I would try to do everything myself, and the learning cost of learning, I spent more trying to figure it out than if I would have hired a Nancy or if somebody would have hired me, because we're going to cut off that learning curve to go, no, 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 don't do that. That doesn't work anymore. Right? Because there's a lot of theory out there, but we got to get the rubber meets the road. Do this, you get this. Do this, you get this.
What do you say about the person who's languishing, doing everything him or herself, believing that until she makes her first 10 or 20 or 30 or 100,000, she's going to play every role? What would you say to someone who was in that mind space right now?
Well, I think we all do that when we start. But here's what I want to shift the conversation a little bit and say, I want you to work on your highest income producing activity. So the first person I always hire is my operations person, even before my assistant, because my operation person is the one that's helping with my campaigns, helping me with my contracts, helping me do the things, that the business needs to do. So then I can go talk to clients. I can go close sales. I can be speaking. I can be networking. I can be on podcasts, right? So it's hard to do both. That's why people are working really hard and then staying up till midnight. Well, stop it. Right. One, when you put your plan in place, you got to have a budget. It does take money to build a business, right? So it does. And you're either going to borrow it from yourself, you're going to borrow it from your retirement, your savings, your credit cards, whatever it is. I built my first business on credit cards because that's what I had. And I had an investor. It was only $5,000, but he invested in me to build a product that went with my book, right? And that first product was the thing that launched me in other revenue streams beside me having to be somewhere. Now, this is way back in the day, right? So he loaned me $5,000 and I paid him out of the sales, right? And he would have conversations with me. He was one of those the OGs in the industry who just saw me as an up and coming and said, I'll help you. Kind of mentored me along the way. Well, what's your goal? I don't know what my goal is. How do I know how many people will buy? Well, we got to figure this out because you got to pay me back. Yes, we got to figure this out. Now, he was using you got to pay me back as the carrot, but teaching me along the way. I didn't know he was teaching me back in the day, right? I'm like, oh my God, that was so brilliant. So generous, right? When I think back. And he made probably 10 grand back.
Well, which is
On his $5,000, but I didn't. You could say $5,000. It might as well have been $1 million back then, right? I didn't have $5,000, right? I was paying for my children, right? A single mom building two businesses. I'm like, I didn't have $5,000. That was a lot of money back then,
right.
But that was the thing that had me spend money to make money.
Okay.
So even my first book, right? I had to spend money, get an editor, help me write it, get it published. I didn't have that money. I had to create that money. I pre-sold books, right? I'm I'm a go-getter, right? I'm just going like, oh, I need to make 10 grand. How do I make 10 grand?
So we've got a plan. We know who our ideal client is. We outsource the things that we should not be doing so we can focus on revenue generation activities. We invest in our business because if we don't invest in our business, who else is going to invest in our business either? And then what?
Then we have to figure out, what am I selling? Now there's so much noise out there. And first I'm going to apologize for all the noise out there because everyone's saying create a low hanging fruit. And a low hanging fruit is $7 to $99. Well, if you create a low hanging fruit and you have no database, you have no drip campaign, you have no advertising, you're not going to make any money, right? It just doesn't happen. So a low hanging fruit, it's expensive. Every product you make is expensive. It's the same cost whether you're creating a $12,000 product or a $7 product, right?
Thank you for saying that, because there's a whole crew of folks that circle the drain for a way too long, trying to sell a $7 something. And it does take just as much effort to sell a high ticket item as it does to a low ticket. Don't you agree?
It does. It does. So if you look at, a $7 thing, right? We got to sell 14,000 $7 things to make 100 grand. No. Let me sell 10 $10,000 things to make 100 grand. It is the same energy. We've got to put 10 units of energy in to get 1 unit of result. Once you get that momentum going, you put 1 unit of energy in to get 10 units of result. And so you don't have the database, 14,000 people. That's not even potential buyers, that's buyers. So to have 14,000 people, you got to times that by 10. In your database, you got to have 140,000 people to buy a $7 product to make 100 grand. No, 140,000 people in your database, that could take years to build, right? And most of those will probably be fans, not qualified clients.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're doing in the beginning, right? We're testing, we're doing this thing like, is this it? Is this it? Is this where they are? Is this where they are? Is this where they are? You're constantly trying to find that qualified person so you have more succinct conversations. So I think creating your product suite from the beginning to make you profitable, right? Because profit is planned for. And then being realistic to go, what's that minimum price point? So minimum price point when I'm coaching clients is $1,000. That's minimum. Like, and if you're too scared to do that, I'm not the right coach for you. Like, I can't deal with your limitation and afraid that Nancy's not going to buy money. Let's bring that, or spend money. How are you going to buy some money? Spend money, right? Let's make that happen to go. So we have a plan. You're not struggling on the struggle bus.
I'll just share something from my early days. I created these tips booklets to boost business and profitability with free publicity. Yeah. And I want to tell you what happened is that I'm such a good student that I'm going to start small and learn everything and have this be the most successful $10 thing that the world has ever seen. And I give myself a pat on the back for what great work I did. But if I had it to do over again, I would have started with a $10,000 thing. Yeah. And look what could have happened so much faster. So for those people who are thinking small or having fear or wondering, well, that's for other people, not for me, what would you say to those people?
There's a point you got to feel the fear and do it anyways, right? Hold fear in one hand, courage in the other. Listen to people who've done it before, right? To go, okay, Nancy's saying this, Susie's saying this. You talk to any coach that's playing at a high level, right, that has done this. I want you to look at, are they talking about it or did they actually do it, right? So I'm willing to share the highs and the lows because it's not been easy building 10 companies. But it's been my advanced degree in building 10 companies. Is you got to go, okay, do I trust Nancy? Nancy's, most of you are here because of Nancy to go, she's saying that. She's bringing people in that are reiterating that. Maybe I need to listen to that.
Yes, amen.
My first coaching, right? I didn't know. This was way back in the day. I'm a little seasoned, Nancy. Been doing this 30 years.
Me too.
And so I started out because 150 was like the going rate. And then I would be in a call, and then I had so much homework to help that person. I'm like, well, this is too cheap. Luckily, I valued my time enough, right? And then we went to 200 and 250 and 300 and 350 and 1,000 and 2,000, right? To where now it's $10,000 a month to coach with me because I know the value that I bring to students. And I know the work that I do. And so people are like, wow, that's expensive. Well, you're not paying for my time. You're paying for my expertise. Right. You're paying for 10 years, 30 years of building businesses, building 10 businesses and two $10 million businesses, right? There's something to be said there. I think I know a little bit about what I'm doing, right? I don't have all the answers, right? And I'm not for everyone, but I have this stable of people. So if I'm not right for you or you're not ready for me, you're ready for Nancy, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to say, hey, if you're not right for me, let me introduce you to Nancy. Right, that's called collaboration. To go, I know Nancy's going to take care of them. And when you're ready to come to me, she'll pass them back to me to go, who's that coach you need? I don't know about you, but I have many coaches, right? I got 3 financial coaches. I've got a fitness coach. I've got a health coach. I've got a personal development coach, AKA therapist, right, to help me. Now I use them all at different times, right? My financial coaches, we meet every quarter, so I'm not working with the coach all the time. I wouldn't get work done. But when I need them, I have to plug into them so I don't hang myself, or I can get that solution quicker, faster.
Now, you've got something coming up this Friday that I am really, really excited about. And I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about what's coming up. You've got a 1-day wealth planning workshop. It's virtual. What's the wow happening this Friday?
Well, first, the wow is we cut it down from 3 days to 1 day because we all have Zoom fatigue. We're all tired. So I'm like, how can I give this information so that it's powerful, we get it, and we can move on? So I want you to know what's fun, it's engaging. I make math is money and money is fun. We all love what math does for us, right? We don't necessarily like to do it. So I'm going to give you my spreadsheet that I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, right? Figuring it out. You're going to get that spreadsheet so you'll know at the end of the morning break how many qualified leads Nancy needs to hit a revenue goal. So then we're going to look at, what do I need to sell? What does my product suite look like? Right? So I'm going to start with that. Then what's that product suite? Then we're going to look at, what do I need to put in place to make that happen? What is that marketing hack? What is that hack that you need? What's that time management hack? Like my schedule, Nancy, it's all scheduled out. I have my sales time in there. I have my follow-up time in there. I have my homework time in there. Because if not, I'm going to be busy being busy. And so to show you, how do you manage your time for results? It's not a time management system. It's how do you manage your time for results? So 3 simple things we're going to give you, but very powerful. So the end of that, you know exactly what to do. It will be your roadmap to financial success. Boom.
Yeah. And I've already got my ticket. I'm coming because I've had the most amazing couple of years post-pandemic. It's just been like a rocket ship. And I think this is such a perfect time to be doing a checkup from the neck up, really, to see, well, how am I doing? Where am I going next? How's it going to grow? How am I going to serve people better? How am I going to serve people in a bigger way? How am I going to make more magic happen? And someone who has built so many successful business such as that you have, who has figured out ways to break it down so a creative person can actually do the math. I think that's kind of exciting because I certainly identify with that. And so the link that you can visit to register is getknown.getpaid.com/Susie Wealth. That's SUSIEWEALTH. And so let's talk a little bit, Susie, about some of the results that people get as a result of just spending a day with you.
Yeah, so even more than a day. So Azimba, who's been a client, he owns a employment agency. We had a 1-hour conversation. I looked at his proposal that he was submitting, rewrote the proposal for him, and then he submitted it and got a $500,000 contract. So 1-hour conversation. I did some homework. We spit it back. We got a $500,000. Dr. Judy, she's a physician. We went from 1.2 to 2.8 in less than a year. So that was crazy. And we worked on one thing, just one thing. We worked on her average ticket. So she was working really hard, not working efficiently, right? Kathy Kidd was living out of her savings and was $60,000 in debt. I looked at her pricing, Nancy. Her pricing, when we figured out all the expenses, it was equivalent to me going, Nancy, she was a publisher, I'll write this book for you and give you $500 because she was losing so much money that we just fixed that one thing, increased her pricing to match her overhead and have profitability. And it wasn't that much more. And we went from a negative $60,000 to over $600,000, right? By tweaking that one thing inside of her business. Right. So it's like sometimes you just need someone to take the blinders off and go, oh, don't do that, do this. Oh, don't do that, do this.
Oh, that's so good. You know, one of the things I'm really liking about what you're talking about is having systems and structure to actually figure out what the price should be, taking into account everything that there needs to be taken into account. That's something that a lot of creative professionals don't do. I think a lot of creative professionals just pull from air a figure that feels ambitious to them and hopes that does the hope marketing. Oh, I hope they'll pay it. I hope they'll pay it. right?
Well, it's not even that. It's like, what does Nancy charge? What does Susie charge? What does John charge? What does Bill charge? Oh, Nancy charges 1,200. Susie charges, 2,000. Bob charges 5,000. I'm going to charge 3,500, right? And so again, I made a simple spreadsheet that you can just put in your numbers because I didn't like to do math either. I still don't like it. I want to create a spreadsheet so I can just put the numbers in and it spits something out so I can come back and give it to you, whether it's your average ticket, is your pricing, how many leads do we need, your annual forecast. I make an annual forecast fun because I didn't like doing it. Nobody likes doing that. It's like, I don't know. But if I make it a game to go, how many units, Nancy, do you think you can sell? And when we play the game, by the end, you're like, oh my gosh, that was so easy and fun. I know, it's supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, go do something else, right? Go get a job because those aren't fun, right?
Right.
A
Well,
business is supposed to provide you that lifestyle that a job cannot.
I love that. Something else that I wanted to pull out of what you just said is that some people have issues around whether they're worthy of certain fees.
Yes.
And what you're advocating is, well, do the math and see the what the cost is to deliver this service, this product, this widget, the true cost. When you depersonalize it like that, it's like, well, this is that value.
Yes. Well, here's what I want to say. I'm not paying for your time, Nancy. Right. And that's where we think, oh, it's, Nancy is $1,500 an hour. We're not paying for Nancy's time. We're paying for her expertise, her 30 years in business, her failures, her successes, her figuring it out, her working with her own combination lock to go, oh, this is the formula that works. So I always tell my students, don't look at your time, look at the results you help students produce. Like Kathy, Dr. Judy, Ozimba, to go, let me share what I've done for them so you can see it's not an anomaly. It's not a one-hit wonder, right? It's no, we do this consistently. I can give you story after story after story. It's not Susie, it's they're implementing the roadmap that I'm teaching you, that I had to create and make it fun for us creative learners as entrepreneurs. Right. And then the linear people love it because I've just made their job easier. So yes, if you're linear, we do teach step 1, step 2, step 3. I had to learn that. My linear students taught me that. They're like, I need a procedure. Right. They need a procedure. You know those students. I see that, Nancy.
Yeah, step by step, step 1, step 2. And so I want to ask you, sir, another question off the cuff, which is, you are so yourself. You are like a girlfriend that we just fall in love with, but we trust and appreciate your expertise and your experience because of your track record. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of work with people with regard to showing up on podcasts and broadcasts and being their very best self so they can create that bridge of trust. In the beginning, when you started speaking and sharing, did you have moments where you were not quite so relatable and so confident?
Okay, well, first of all, I was in the beauty industry. And so the beauty industry, so yes, yes, and yes. So I'm going to tell you, I felt like I had the biggest imposter syndrome. So the beauty industry is run by men. It's not run by women. And so in the training world, 90% of the trainers were men. So I'm on the stage with men. So girl, I had short hair. When you look back in the day, I had short hair. I went to a class where it said you should wear a blue suit and something red. So I had all blue suits with a red shirt, a red something, because that was supposed to give more credibility. I was very, just stick to the facts, Jack, right? Very analytical because it was really a condescending career. They used to introduce me, Nancy, and go, and here's Susie, my name back then was Fields. Here's Susie Fields, and she's purty. Okay, you know what? I'm more than just purdy. Yeah. So I would just get so irritated. And I'm like, whatever, that's just them. Okay, you can underestimate me. That's okay. Right. And I think that was like, I was committed to showing people, right, you can be authentic and real. The day that I really did it, I was just being sued by an employee. And I was teaching this employee retention class, right? How do you be a great boss, or how do you interview somebody? And I just felt like a fraud, Nancy. I was like, oh, it was like, I don't know, 400 people in the room. But you know, when you just can't do it anymore, I'm like, okay, hold up. I just feel like I'm being bullshit right now. I am being sued right now. And it is not fair because I have done everything. And the thing that I didn't do was I didn't have her clock in and clock out, right? But I had so many systems in place, but because I did not have her clock in and clock out, she had written down everything like, you didn't pay me for this, you didn't pay me for that. Hard lesson. And I just wanted to cry. And the room, Nancy stood up and gave me a standing ovation. And I'm like, you guys are cuckoo. They're like, no, Susie, finally. We just think you're perfect. And there's no way we can be perfect. I'm like, oh, do you want to hear more of these stories? Because I got a lot of them. That was the day that I realized, like, just tell people what's going on, right? I am not perfect. And I have failures and I have successes. And I'm willing to share the battle I had to go through to get where I'm at. And I find that, and then just start being myself. Like, I'm a woman, I want to be a woman, right? If I want to dress feminine, I'm going to dress feminine, right? I was done trying to be a man. And, and that was in the 80s, right? I look back at pictures. It's so funny. I was trying to be a dude to fit into this dude world, even though it's so highly female. You go, oh, that didn't work. That got bankrupt, right? And the whole leave your emotions at the door, and to go, no, we're women, we're creatives. I'm a creative. I want to, how do you balance being a mom and a business and a wife and a daughter? And that's unique to women, right? Not wasn't back then to men to go, when I started talking about that, of how did I manage my schedule with my kids? Oh my God, people are like, oh my God, she's amazing. I'm like, okay, I thought.
I'm so glad we're talking about this, because there's a number of people that I work with in my client community that are very attached to their language and very attached to being polished and professional. And it's really challenging to say, how can you be more relatable so that I can connect with you more as a human being? It's not so much that the words have to be perfect. It's that I have to feel the connection to who you are before I'm willing to invest with you.
Yes.
Right.
And it's not telling your dirty laundry, right? I'm not telling my dirty laundry. I'm not processing in front of a room. I'm telling the story that will have the stories. The authenticity is the bridge that has them see the value in you, right? When you look at, I'm very professional. Everything I do has a reason and a purpose. Even the stories I choose to share on stage have a reason and a purpose, right? That story I just shared to tell on stage was my authenticity story, to go, oh, let me tell you when I crashed and burned, right? And to go, oh, that is specifically talked about, so you can see the day that I learned it. So very powerful. I'm not crying now. I'm not feeling like a fraud now. Some people are telling their story bawling. Now, sometimes I'll tell a story and cry, but I don't lose it, right? I'm crying because it still hits home, right? To go, oh, that still hurts my heart, but I don't lose my train. I might, suck it up and get a little red nose and blow my nose and move on. But again, that's the authenticity. One time I was teaching for Schwarzkopf. It's a hair care company. And at the end, I do this thing with this little blue ribbon that says, who I am makes a difference, right? It's one of my girlfriends, Elise Bridges, and you tell the story about why they make a difference for you. So I brought someone on stage and I was acknowledging them, and we both started crying, right? Because I just saw her heart, right? And she had worked so hard to get everybody in the room. She had worked so hard, and she was one of those people that never got the attention she needed from her workplace. And so we're bawling, and not like, lose control. I'm still holding my composure, and we ended the day, and everybody loved it. Rave reviews, evaluations were great. And the area manager said, you know what, Susie, we love you and we love your content, but you can't do that crying thing. Like, you just leave that crying thing out. I'm like, I didn't do the crying thing. It's not like I planned it. It just came up, the crying thing. She goes, yeah, well, that's not what we do here. Like, well, then I'm not the right coach, because I can't turn my emotions on and off. Like, it's the 80s. It's like, I'm acknowledging this person who's lovely, and then she acknowledged me back, which was lovely, and we're just having this love fest. I'm like, wow, that is amazing. That's not our culture. Don't do that crying thing. I don't know how you do that, but don't do it.
It kind of reminds me of a story about Oprah Winfrey, who started out her career as a news anchor, like a news reporter.
Yes.
When you're a news reporter, you're supposed to deliver the truth to the camera, but you're not supposed to let the camera see your heart. And Oprah wasn't able to hold back her emotion when things were tragic. as
Yeah.
she reported the news. And she had the very same conversation with her news director. You can't cry on camera. You can't make the story about you. You can't put yourself in the story. You're never going to go anywhere in TV news.
Right.
And she had her moment where she thought, well, maybe I'm not supposed to go anywhere in TV news. Maybe I'm supposed to be someone who talks to interesting people and pulls out their stories and feels their stories with them. And then look what happened to Oprah Winfrey. She's like the most influential woman on the planet, right?
Yes, yes.
So I,
So
I
there is, again, there's a system and a strategy. Like there were certain stories I couldn't tell for a while because I couldn't get through the story. I would bawl too much. Even though it was a good story, I was still processing the story. You got to wait a little bit and then come back to it, or not go as deep, right? So there's training in that. We have a certified master trainer that teaches you how do you teach your high highs, go in your valley without losing it, and come back out. Or sometimes when you go in your valley, people go in their valley. You got to know how to get the audience back out, because if you leave them down, that's not good.
right. Now, speaking
I've
of,
had, we've had some of those go wrong too, Nancy. Woo!
so with this thing, that's this beautiful event that's happening on Friday, I'm sure there's going
Yes.
to be plenty of training and systems and strategies and the it that we need to master in order to create that revenue breakthrough. But we're also going to get you, being
Yeah.
you, leading that crew of amazing folks. And I imagine you have some pretty powerful stories to share on Friday that will keep it very interesting for all of us.
Look, if you're not laughing, you're not learning. So we're going to get you laughing, we're going to get you learning, we're going to get you networking. We do small groups, so we don't have thousands of people, specifically because I can't go through that many Zoom, right? Specifically, we have a small, intimate class because I want to be able to see people, know people, transform people. I've already done the events where there's thousands of people in the audience, and I don't know if their life was impacted or not. That doesn't fill my heart and soul. That's not my purpose on this planet. My purpose on this planet is to know Nancy, help Nancy, support Nancy, love Nancy, and create a lifelong relationship, whether we're doing business or not, right? I love doing that. I've had clients for 20 years because we keep growing their business. And this is the first step. This is a, dip your toe in. We've created, because I know everybody's Zoom to fatigue and tired. So it's $97 for you to come. I'm going to give you your 7-figure foundation, right? Even if wherever you're at, but let me show you the plan and how we can create that plan. Then we're going to look at your services and your packages. Are you charging what you need to be charging to hit your revenue goal? Or are you doing like Nancy did, that $10 thing because that's what somebody told her, right? We got to sell $14,000, 14,000 units. I can't get there. Right? And then where do I find my perfect client? Because you find them, right? You'll go find them. They don't just come to you, right? It's not like you're just the Pied Piper. We've got to go, what are the networking groups? What are the relationships? What are the strategic relationships so that I can have that result that I'm looking for?
Well, and since you brought that up, the strategic relationships, I often say to my clients that none of us grows our business alone. It's so important to create relationships with people that do similar things where they can bridge gaps not met by our own programs, where we can touch and transform more lives through the power of the connections that we create. Can you just elaborate a little bit about the degree to which strategic relationships have been powerful fuel for the growth of this business and other businesses that you've had in the past, and for your clients also?
Yeah, so I launched this brand. This is the 10th brand in 2019, right before the pandemic. And so when I was running another company, so I'd sold my previous company for 10 million. I was running Lisa Nichols' company for 10 years. Took that company from 80,000 to 10 million, and I was done. 10 million is my level. I'm like, after 10 million, it gets too corporate for me. So we decided to separate ways. And in that 10 years, I didn't build my own brand. I didn't build my own social media. I didn't build my own list. And so I'm like, where are my people? I gotta find my people. Like, I have been so committed to this brand and I was so locked and loaded that I didn't have anything over here. And so the first thing I did was create strategic partnerships. Right now, she was one of those strategic partnerships because we'd worked together for 10 years. Right. And the reality is we had a $1.2 million year our first year because of strategic partners. Right. And the first thing I did was I found a group where my people were, right? Where were other influential speakers, authors, trainers? Where were they? And how can I network with them? And so you have to look at, what do I bring? So I bring expertise. I didn't have a list. Didn't I started with zero. No list. My social media was $5,000. That was just, people would say, do you want to be my friend? I'd say, okay. I didn't have a relationship with them. I wasn't posting regularly. Right? It was, I would go in, go out, go in, go out. There was no strategy around it. So they weren't, I wouldn't even say they were fans, right? They were just people on that list. And so in that first year, we went from 0 to 7,000 people on our list. 7,000 people with $1 million. I want you to hear that. 7,000 people with $1 million. It doesn't have to be a lot. The average speaker that does $1 million is about 140,000 people. So it speaks to the right people in your community, in your database, can provide you a lifestyle that can get you to that mark. It doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of people, right? When your pricing is right, because there's no way if I had a $10 thing, I would have hit $1 million. I wouldn't even hit that $100,000, which is our biggest challenge, right? We don't know what we don't know. But I knew, because it wasn't my first rodeo, right? We went from 0 outlets to over 8,000 outlets in a year. That's bananas, right? We were in Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post, New York Times, Cosmo Magazine, published our book with Simon & Schuster. Again, from strategic relationship, I met my publisher at a networking event. I had been trying to get a publisher, went to this networking event. The leader of the networking event said, Susie, I'm going to sit you right next to Michelle. And we just had a girlfriend conversation. And then I told her about the book, and she's like, oh my God, I love it. Send me the galley. So I sent her the galley. I sent my book proposal. We got a 6-figure book deal. They don't just give 6-figure book deals anymore from networking. Now, that would have not happened if Chris Winfield had not strategically sat us at a networking party, like at a networking dinner.
So if you get an opportunity to go to a networking event, approach it strategically.
Yes, to
and
go
try to get in a room with
room.
people that are your people. And if you don't know who your people are, name and claim who they are and think as big as possible. Right.
Exactly.
And
And
so
so
much.
we like to network in that event so everybody knows everybody by the time they're done. It's up to relationship with Michelle. He just put us in play. Right. You've got to create those relationships. They don't magically happen. I had to work for that relationship, but it makes a big difference. Like someone in this community, in Nancy's community, is going to meet me and their life will be forever changed. I know that. Nancy knows that. You don't know that yet, but we know that when you implement the strategies.
So as we wrap this up, I'm inviting and imploring everyone who's here to go to getknowngetpaid.com/Susie Wealth, SUSIWEALTH, and invest $97 in a day that will fill gaps that need to be bridged so that you can create that big, huge revenue and profit breakthrough. And then as we close, I want you to tell me something. What is the one question I should have asked that I didn't ask that would make this an even better exchange of value for everyone who's watching?
I would say why I do what I do.
Well, why do you do what you do?
I believe that my gift from God is my life. My gift back to God is, what do I do with my life? Your why has to be bigger than money. Your why has to be bigger than you. It's got to be outside of you. To get up every morning when you don't want to do the things we have to do that we don't want to spend the money that we're afraid to spend. It has to be bigger. And I do it for my children, and I do it because it's my responsibility that God gave me this gift to put this information in this way to teach people what I had to learn the hard way. Now, I'm not going to say you're not going to have your own challenges, but I'm going to cut off 10 years of your learning curve. And that's my gift. And so my gift back to you is, how do I make this easier for you so that you don't have to make the same mistakes I made or Nancy made? We cut that learning curve. And so I would say that was the question.
Well, that is a beautiful sentiment. And thank you so much for sharing it. And thank you for investing time in this conversation. I know that the right people are going to hear it and be moved by it, and we'll likely be seeing them on Friday at the one-day virtual wealth summit with Susie Carter, the profit coach. I think it's time. As we record this, it is April 18th. We've just had Easter. The seasons have changed. It's time to take a fresh look to see how everything in your business and life can bloom more beautifully and more profitably and more easily, because you've got the right mentors on the bus showing you the path forward. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday. And Susie, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us today. It's truly been a pleasure. I look forward to sharing this out with everyone that I possibly can. And for those of you who are member of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook community, I will be posting this interview on my YouTube channel. And I would love for you to share this interview with people in your world who need to see it right now, because the answer to what's keeping up a lot of folks at night is coming to us on Friday with Susie Carter leading the charge. And I know you and everyone will be blessed by it when you show up. So
I
Susie,
love
thank you
that.
so, so very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. And that's a wrap.